Welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden. My name is Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly.
That's Max Jeffcott over there with the gimbal and Ray Melodoni behind the editing suite. Today on the show we are featuring our conversation around scope creep. I have no idea what that was. My impersonation of a creep.
Some kind of creep.
Who's scoping. And why you should embrace scope creep. Scope creep, for those that don't know, is when a client starts adding features halfway through the project and you start to panic because all of a sudden you realise that their expectations and what you plan to deliver, never the twain shall meet. We're also going to talk about some new stuff happening in the WordPress space. MonsterInsights have a new version out. Google are talking about AMP stories, and we're a little bit skeptical. And Fontawesome 5 is out. Stay with us. There's that and a whole lot more coming right up. And of course we have our amazing new stingers and segues, and we actually started today's show with a little title card. And let me explain the reasoning behind that, just in case anyone gives a shit.
I care, Troy.
Oh,
Tell me all about it.
What happened is, by the way, I just got to flag this, right? I had the worst coffee of my freaking life this morning, so I'm just a little bit grumpy.
Perfect.
And it's all Max's fault. No, it's not Max's fault, actually. It's the bloody idiots over at the cafe who don't know the difference between soy milk and cow's milk. And I don't drink cow's milk. Doesn't agree with me. Anyway, the reason, when we used to go live, right, Ray would say 3, 2, 1, we're live, and you and I'd be sitting here going, are we live? And there's always like this awkward moment of silence right at the start of the show when we don't really know if we're live, and then we say, oh, hi, welcome, blah, blah, blah. So what we've decided to do to solve that problem, because it's a live show and we don't edit it, is to put a title card at the start, right? There's a couple of reasons for doing this. Title card at the start, so when Ray says 3, 2, 1, we're live, we can see the perfect stream come up on our monitor here, which shows us that we've got a perfect stream. But all you guys can see is a title card, and then we look at the camera, and then Ray flicks to the camera A, which I'm looking at right now. It's got a little light above it, a little tally light on top, which then goes on and tells me the camera is live. And then I say, or Simon says, welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden. So it's just a couple of seconds buffer so that we know we're live, so we can give a nice punctual intro. And the other thing is that when we call it the thumb stopper, when you're scrolling, look at that beautiful picture of my wife and Oscar.
Lovely.
As you're scrolling through Facebook.
Is that on silent, just quickly?
It is on silent, yeah. When you're scrolling through Facebook, hopefully, in months and weeks and years to come, you'll see the Silence is Golden title card and you'll go, oh, there's Silence is Golden, and you'll stop. It's called the thumb stopper. And you'll stop. You won't just see two idiots like us talking. You'll stop on the SIG logo and you'll go, oh, I want to tune into that. So there's a couple of reasons we've done that. And we did that about 5 minutes before we went live.
Yeah, I like it.
There you go.
But remember what we were doing at the beginning was, at the very, very beginning, it's like, all right, so we'll make all the lights dim. And then when it goes bright, then we're live.
That's right. I like
one episode that lasted.
Yeah, I know. It was good.
It was done.
I like that. Why don't we do that anymore, Ray? Can we? Do the lights still
Don't
go
change
dim?
it back.
Oh, that's right. Because now we actually
have to run around and switch them all.
Yeah, that's right. We have. Yeah. Not enough cables. Too many cables. Not enough Bluetooth connectivity. Anyway,
Story of my life.
So, hey, there's lots coming up today. We're going to talk about scope creep is the big topic we're going to talk about today. A lot of people avoid scope creep and have all sorts of fancy things set up in their business to manage scope creep, and we're going to talk about some of those things. But we're also going to talk about the importance of embracing scope creep and, in fact, what you've learned from the construction industry about embracing scope creep and how it can make you more moolah. Yeah?
Yeah. Exactly.
Good. But before we get there, we should probably talk about what's been happening in the news this week in WordPress.
Stuff that happened.
Awesome. This is getting smoother and smoother, man. I like that you're taking the pilot seat and segueing in, because I think it'll take a couple before I figure it out.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
A couple of, episodes, months?
Months.
Years?
Yeah. Months, I'm thinking. So there's an interesting article that I found by Hero Press, and it's 12 WordPress product owners share their thoughts on offering better customer support. Now, I think this is really interesting and very pertinent to people who are delivering WordPress services for clients, not just product owners, because providing better support is one of the fundamental things that you need to do for your customers and your clients to be able to get you out of that seat as much as possible, to be able to not need to be providing email or phone support all the time with all of these continuous problems. So there's some really, really good tips in here. Some of the key takeaways were building good documentation can head off support issues before they happen. Now, I thought that was great. So having a knowledge base, having some articles. Now, even if you don't have a product as such, your service is still a product, and documentation can really help. Things like how customers should ask for support, what are your support times, that kind of stuff can be public, and that can just reduce a lot of the questions that people have from time to time. So have a read of that article.
So if I call you on the phone on a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock and say, oh, I can't get my bloody emails, that's not the right way to ask for support.
No, not the best one.
Not going to get the response that you desire.
No, and I'm not going to get the Sunday that I desire. So
right.
it's best to cut that off at the pass, create some documentation, and onboard your clients effectively into your support system.
Of course, you should just be using the video user manuals plugin if you're building websites. Shameless plug here. If you're building websites for clients on WordPress, you should be using the video user manuals plugin to teach them how to use WordPress so you don't have to.
Exactly. They'll still ask, but then you can just keep pointing them back to that location.
Yes, that's right.
And then they can self-help.
RTFM, isn't that what it is? Yeah, read the frickin' manual.
Exactly.
Yes, there we go. So what else happened this week is Monster Insights have released version 7. Now, Monster Insights is basically kind of a really sexy version of Google Analytics in your WordPress dashboard, right?
Really sexy.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going there.
Yeah, well, I think so. And
Look at it.
Monster Insights is, if I'm not mistaken, these are the same guys behind Opt-in Monster, right? It's Syed and the guys from WP Beginner, and yeah. So version 7 is out. Basically, it's a new UI. They have sexier charts and graphs, or graphs if you live in South Australia. And and there's all sorts of fancy things you can do now with date selectors. If you click on that link, wplinks.io/monsterinsights, it'll take you to their blog post that tells you all about it. And of course, if you do click on that link, you will be pixeled on every platform known to mankind, so that next time you're on Snapchat trying to have a conversation with your 14-year-old nephew, we will put an ad in front of you. Isn't that right? Isn't that the way it works?
That's about right. Yeah.
Oh, not Snapchat, sorry.
Full transparency.
Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn,
Is that
and
proof
YouTube.
that I see there?
It is. So Mark C. from Edgeware just purchased Monster Insights according to their little widget in the bottom left-hand corner of the website, which is powered by Proof Technologies. We use that as well on our landing pages and opt-in pages. Seems to work.
Yeah, I just signed up to it to try to get it to work on a WooCommerce site. I'm having some problems because it doesn't dynamically put in the product. If you have one product, sweet.
Right.
But if you have multiple, it doesn't dynamically put them in.
Oh,
A bit disappointed. So
That's a bit
beaketing
shit,
is
isn't
another
it?
one, and it does pull that in.
really?
So there you
What's
go.
it called?
Beaketing.
Beakit.
Beaketing.
Beakiting.
Yep,
Beakiting.
sure.
Is that even a word?
It's a name that explains everything about it.
Yeah.
Beaketing.
Beakiting.
Like Renegade Empire.
Fair enough.
What is it?
There
What
you
does
go.
it do? How does it work?
So go check out Monster Insights. If you actually, here's the thing, if you're not looking at your analytics, one thing, I mean, first of all, let's just call the elephant in the room, right? Google Analytics is a catastrophe. If you're trying to get any actionable insights out of Google Analytics, good luck. You'll need a science degree to figure that out. So things like Monster Insights pull that data into WordPress, display it in a more meaningful way. But here's the thing, you should be educating your client and going back to your client every week and saying, hey, I've discovered that there's this web page on your website that you're getting a lot of traffic to that needs updating and we're not actually promoting. And you wouldn't know that unless you're looking at the analytical data. And it's one thing to look at the data, but it's another thing to actually suggest actions to your clients based on that data.
Yep.
So don't just sign up for Monster Insights, do something with the data.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice one. So, just on that actually,
Yeah, go on.
I actually use is it Agency Analytics.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
To
Love it.
provide, yeah, I think it's awesome. It provides reports on multiple things, not just on analytics. It pulls in like social data, advertising. So I think that's an awesome one. And also, I created a custom dashboard within Google Analytics that you can search for Renegade Empire, and you can find that and pull it into Google Analytics, and it just takes some of the best stuff for e-commerce or websites, and you can use that, and that's totally free.
Yeah.
Agency Analytics is quite expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
You could Google Renegade Empire Google Analytics custom dashboard.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Google that and find that. It's in their marketplace of dashboards and stuff.
Yeah,
isn't it?
within Google Analytics. Yeah.
Perfect.
So speaking of Google, they added AMP Stories format, which actually looks pretty awesome. It's so you're going through the Google search results, and it's like a dynamic view of a particular news story with video in the background. Like, it looks awesome. I suppose depending on the publisher and how awesome they make it look. But this is just jumping on the story craze like Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all of that. Google seem to keep trying to claw their way into people's social lives, and I don't think they're really good at understanding people very well. They're good at being engineers, and they're amazing at search, obviously, but when it comes to like the social stuff, I just think sometimes they try things and they don't do such a good job. So I'm interested to see how this goes, and like that demo there looks quite awesome. It's on the Search Engine Land website. You can follow the link at wplinks.io/amp-stories and check it out. We'll be interested to see how that works and what kind of adoption it has.
They don't have a great track record with social stuff, Google, do they? Google Wave. Hello? Hello?
Google Wave goodbye.
And Google Wave goodbye. And Google Plus. Not sure plus what, but it's kind of Google minus these days, isn't it? Google Plus.
Google minus
Hello?
everyone.
Hello? Now, as a publisher of content, what should we be doing with Google AMP Stories? Anything?
You should be trying it out and then telling me if it works.
Right.
Because I want to try it.
I have a problem. Ray's always on at me about, we need, and Max is always saying, we need 15-second videos for Insta stories and Facebook stories. I don't get it. Like, something that expires, like for me, if I'm going to put effort into content, I don't want it to expire in 24 hours.
Right.
Because there's no leverage in that, right?
Well,
I mean, is this just symptomatic of the ADHD culture that we live in?
Pretty much, yeah. It's about attention. It's about keeping people's attention. And if you're always top of mind and always getting attention, it's hard to get the ROI on that. But that's what the stories are all about.
Oh dear,
So
Ray.
listen to Gary Vee sometimes.
Oh, Jesus. We had to go there, didn't we? I think Ray just spat his coffee all over the live stream box. Now, hang on.
Covered in soy milk.
Ray's a bit younger than me. You're a bit younger than me. Max doesn't use social media at all. In fact,
he's so young that he's just skipped that whole
I don't think
thing.
Max has got an internet connection. I don't get stories, man. Like, am I just old? Someone please tell me what's going on with stories, because...
What's the story with stories?
What's the story with stories? Because I'll say it again, the thing is, if you're going to produce any content, I want some leverage, right? So I want to be able to drive ads to that content. I want to be able to have a conversation. I want comments. I want engagement. And stories, I just don't get it. So please, if someone out there knows anything about stories on Instagram, Facebook, or Google AMP, Accelerated Mobile Pages, then please tell us what the hell's going on with stories and what we should be doing with stories. I should pull up the live stream here to see if anyone's paying attention and make sure I'm on mute. There we go. All right. Hey, in other news, Fontawesome has released... Oh, hello. I've ordered a new tabletop, by the way. Got a new tabletop coming, which is going to replace this one. It's made of bamboo.
Did you hear that, Peter Butler?
It's going to be a little bit wider. And I'm going to actually screw it onto the frame so it doesn't move around.
Right.
Yeah. Fontawesome have released version 5. It is awesome, of course, because it's called Fontawesome. It's just absolutely exquisitely beautiful. I love Fontawesome. And so go check out Fontawesome 5.
Have you seen the Kickstarter video?
No, I haven't.
It's great.
Really?
Yeah, check it out after the show.
Okay.
It's awesome.
All right, I will. I'll check out the Kickstarter video, and I'll also do a search and see if Fontawesome are using Facebook stories or Instagram stories, because if they are, then maybe I might be convinced to as well.
Now,
not likely. My dog's growling.
The Bronx there.
The dog's growling at me.
That
saying,
brings us
"Don't
to the
use
next
stories."
section. There's a couple of things that, like you haven't had your coffee today, a little bit agitated. So it brings us quite nicely to our next section, which is
This
pisses me off.
Yes.
So Troy, we were having a chat last week, just straight after the episode, and we were just talking a bit more about like the vision of WP Elevation and just getting things done and growth.
Yep.
And you were mentioning a couple of things about committing to a mission, and that sometimes it's frustrating. Anything in particular about that?
Well, here's the thing. I am fortunate or unfortunate, depending on which way you look at it, to have conversations with lots and lots and lots of freelancers and entrepreneurs. And I have done over the last 5 or 6 years. And, you know, what pisses me off, and I'd say this with all respect, and there's a little bit of a gentle kind of, you know, kick up the arse, is when people don't commit to success. When people expect results, it's like when you start going to the gym, right? And after 2 weeks, you're not bulging and you've still got a bit of fat and you go, oh, well, that doesn't work. And so you stop going. Well, no, it does work. It just takes time. And it's the same with business. And it's the same with having a vision. You know, I mean, how long have we been building this frickin' studio here? How long has it taken us to get to where we are? It doesn't happen overnight. And what really pisses me off is when people don't commit to the success of their vision. They don't actually commit to bringing it to life, and they're not prepared to put in the hard yards. I'm not saying they're not prepared to work hard, but they're not prepared to put in the hard yards, and they just want everything now. And maybe it's just because I'm a little bit old and a little bit grumpy that I, you know, kind of point the finger at young people whose expectations might be a little bit unrealistic. But I just would like to suggest to everyone, not you, Simon, you're the exception to the rule. I just would like to suggest to everyone that it's a 2-year play. If you really want to own your corner of the room and crush it and dominate it like Gary Vee in your marketplace, then it's a 2-year play. You have to commit to something for 2 years. It's not going to happen in 3 months.
You will try it. You will think about giving up, and you'll want to give up. And I think you were saying last week about even just building the studio, and you were driving home one day and you're thinking,
man,
I'm going to throw in the towel.
I clearly remember walking out of my office upstairs one night, and Ray had just left, and it was like 7 o'clock. We were here one night, and I walked out, and I was almost having a panic attack because I was so overwhelmed with how much work we still had to do to get this studio to a place where I was happy with it. And then, of course, we got the studio to this place where, you know, I was starting to feel really good about it. And then, of course, I freaked out, and I said to Ray, I've now got to think of something interesting to say when I sit in front of the cameras. Luckily, at that time, you walked in and suggested we do this show called Silence is Golden, and you've basically been running the shop since then. So thanks for that, mate. It's been a big help.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Lovely. We've got that quote upstairs. Ray printed it out and put it in the office. So the point is, commit to success and commit to the vision. Don't give up. Because it's boring when people give up and then say, no, things didn't really work out the way I wanted them to because I gave up. That's the most boring story in the world. Don't give up. Just commit to success. I want to say hi to a few people on the old Facebook here. Kath Hughes is here. Cannot believe how good this looks for live, says Kath Hughes. Yeah, there we go. Jasmine says, I'm missing my second monitor and literally have my Chromecast on my desk, contemplating whether I should go plug it into the office TV right now. Well, yes, you should. Good morning, says Steve Little. Dave Hibbert says, hello, sweet. Judith says, morning, Troy and Simon and fellow Vators.
Fellow Vators.
Fellow Vators, fellow elevators. Good morning, Judith. Cami McNamara says, wow, flashy guys. And Robert Simmons says, I dislike stories as a consumer and despise them as a business owner. Robert Simmons, I'm with you.
Well, there we go. Patrick O'Doherty says, what time is the show on?
Now,
one,
Patrick, get off the tennis court and come watch the show.
So, so we have a couple of questions that came in for the episode.
Yep, from the Facebook. Shall we help some people get unstuck?
Let's do it.
Let's get unstuck.
I like it how with the segues we both pause. We'll say something and then like statue for a little bit.
Yeah. Hoping that Ray's listening and clicking the button.
Yeah. Cool. So from the Facebook community, Trish Cooper says, this is about scope creep as well. When is it good to be generous and go the extra mile, and when is it counterproductive?
Are you going to answer that question?
No.
Right.
No, well, I have some things to say about it, but there's scope creep. I definitely can't say I'm the expert on this one, so I got my own questions.
Well, here's the thing,
Troy?
Right? I mean, it's a very simple equation for me. If you can continue to add value to the customer and stay profitable, then sometimes it's worth going the extra mile. Let me give you an example. Video User Manuals plugin is this great plugin that we make here, right? Now, no, this is a real example, right? if you're building a website for a client, they're probably not going to ask for a suite of, I think it's now 85 videos that we put in the back end of your WordPress dashboard to teach them how to use WordPress so you don't have to. They're not going to ask for that, but that's where you can go the extra mile and say, hey, look, I've delivered this fabulous website for you on budget and on time, and I've added this amazing suite of video tutorials in the back end to teach you how to use it, and it's not going to cost you an extra cent. That's where you can go the extra mile to blow them away, over-deliver on value, but still stay profitable. Now, if a client comes along halfway through a project and says, Simon, I really like the way this website's coming along. I think you're doing a pretty good job. I don't mean to patronise you too much, but I'm really curious, where do my customers log in and view their past invoices and reorder their favourite order? And you're sitting there going, I didn't know we were selling anything on this website. I thought it was just a brochure site. Did I miss a meeting? That is when you need to nip this in the bud and have a conversation with them about their expectations, because somehow you've ended up here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think if you can over-deliver on value and stay profitable, Trish, then definitely that's when you can do that. But if it means that you're going to have to do extra work on the project that was not originally in the scope, then we are dealing with scope creep. And I think that's probably a good time to segue into the gold nugget for today's episode.
Time to dig into the Gold Nugget.
Just makes me think of picking your nose. Do you get
The
that?
gold nugget.
Dig
Wow,
in. Dig in and get the gold nugget.
Get the gold nugget. Wow, that'd be the brown,
I've
the
ruined it
green
forever.
nugget. Be the green nugget, wouldn't it? Well, it depends on. It's the green nugget if it's fresh, the brown if it's been in there for a couple of days.
I've ruined that segment for everyone. So there's something I wanted to say from the group as well. Sean Nicole got quite a few likes on this, so I just assume I should read it out. He says, I'm religiously using Toggle for everything, putting it in Airtable and charging at the end of the month, trying to be as ruthless as possible. For projects, I'm getting multiple levels of sign-off, sitemap, wireframes, content, design, and writing a thorough scope of work, describing what's included and what's not included. 2018, it's time to get ruthless.
Yes, Sean, I'm loving it. You're speaking my language, brother. Oh man, that's good.
Woo!
Yes, 2018. What
Feel
did we
it.
say? 2018. Time to get ruthless.
Yeah.
I posted this Monday morning on Facebook as I was leaving the gym on my own personal profile. For some reason, I just posted, Monday morning reminder, it's your life and your business. You can do whatever you choose. You don't have to do free shit on a client's website just because they ask you to and they don't offer to pay.
That's right.
No, no, no.
Exactly.
This is my
Yeah, yeah.
business.
Yeah, otherwise you are investing in their business.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Judith Love says, oh my God, that is my life. I think dealing with scope creep is what she's
Or
saying.
going to the gym on Monday.
Maybe. So let's dig into, let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit about how you actually deal with it. Well, first of all, let's talk about why scope creep happens. There you go.
Yeah,
Why
absolutely.
does scope creep happen?
It happens in all projects, on every industry, like any project, anything that happens with communicating between two people, where someone's doing something for someone else, they're going to ask for more. Like there's the potential that's going to happen. How are you going to be prepared with what's in and what's out? How do you do that? Apart from you've made the connection with someone, you like them, and you want to say something? Is that what's happening?
Because in this episode, I was really expecting you to dance in this episode of Silence is Golden.
Why is that?
Well, that was just my expectation. I just thought that you would sit in, talk to the camera and read stuff off your computer and also dance. But I haven't told you that, have I?
No.
I didn't tell anyone that, did I? But I think Simon should dance. Is this an example of scope creep?
It is,
Where
yeah.
your job description now is kind of blowing out a little bit without me communicating it to you?
Sometimes it's a bit more subtle than that.
Yeah, a bit more subtle than that.
Yeah. So it's instead of there's a whole membership page. There's a whole like where they log in to see their invoices. It's like I've just got one more page. Oh, in the team section we've just got one more person coming on. Or like that's not actually I'm not the managing director. It's blah blah blah. My wife thinks that photo of me is no good. Can you swap that out? Oh, just one more thing. My dog needs to be in it with me too.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff that's just like it's so easy to say yes to, and it will take a short amount of time, but it does get blown out, and it just gets ridiculous. And by the time the scope creep is creeping right up on you, you just want to kill someone.
Yeah. So I also think the reason scope creep happens is because you don't know what you don't know, and when you show someone what is possible in the browser, then all of a sudden they go, oh, well, if it can do that,
That's it.
can it do this as well?
Wow.
And you say, yes, it can do that as well. It's like, you know, when you get off a plane, when you fly from, say, you know, Melbourne to Sydney, and you get off the plane, and say it's your first flight, and you get off the plane, you go, wow, I just flew from Melbourne to Sydney in an hour and 15 minutes. That's amazing. Hey, pilot, could you take me to Hobart now? Sure, dude, go buy a ticket and get back on the plane. Oh, I don't want to pay any extra. What are you, high?
You're flying there anyway. Like,
yeah,
I could
you're
just
going
jump
there anyway.
on.
Like, I'll just hang out on the plane. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I just won't get up.
I didn't know it was that convenient to fly from Melbourne to Sydney. Now I just want to fly around the country. No shit, Sherlock. It's going to cost money and it's going to take time, which costs money for these things to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's why scope creep happens. What is your number one? You've got some notes there.
I do have notes.
You do have notes.
I like to be a little bit prepared, but
I love it.
I just want to go off
I love
notes
how
just a little
prepared
bit.
you are, because I'm totally winging it. So I love
Just
how.
look over at the screen
Can I
sometimes.
just read your
and
notes?
yeah.
Right.
So I was talking to Patrick O'Doherty the other day about
On the tennis
scope creep.
court. Yeah.
Oh, we were having lunch at a cafe in Toorak, which
course
is
you were.
his tennis court essentially.
Yeah.
So we were having a chat, and like we talk business from time to time, and just like catch up and see how each other's business is going, which is interesting because we're kind of the closest competitors that I guess we could be. But it's Patrick's awesome. And we were talking about scope creep, and he's like, in other industries, he was saying he was talking to some construction manager, and in their industry, they rely on scope creep. Like, he's like, a massive proportion of their revenue is because people want to change the scope of the project. So they'll come in with a quote, and then they'll say, oh, we also want to add these extra cupboards, or we want to change the slab to something else, or I don't know about construction. And a lot of their revenue comes from that, from doing those quotes and accurately estimating and charging and being profitable on that. So they embrace scope creep and they rely on it. Their business is almost based around scope creep.
And it's really weird because in our industry, because I think also part of what it is that what we do is intangible. What we do is digital. It's not physical. So it's really difficult to see. I actually had a client say to me once, it only takes 5 minutes to add a Twitter button to my website. Why are you charging me for it? And my answer to her was, well, if it only takes 5 minutes, why don't you do it yourself?
You're a bit cheeky though, Troy.
I am. But that's the thing is, people don't realise, people don't understand, it never just takes 5 minutes, because if you're doing this properly, you've got to log into a staging environment, you've got to pull the live database down onto the staging environment. Of course, we're not cowboy coding on live websites, are we, kids? You've got to develop the thing on the staging environment, make sure there's going to be no plug-in conflicts, make sure there's no code conflicts. Then you've got to push it up to a live environment. Then you, like an hour and a half later, yeah, we've added a Twitter button to your website, but it didn't break, right? And it's there for a reason, and it's all part of an overall strategy. But the consumer just sees, oh yeah, there's a new button on the website. That only took 5 minutes, right? Whereas in the construction industry, you can actually physically see the work that's happening, and you can physically see the results of, you know, what the people have done. So I think being really clear up front with expectations is the key to managing scope creep, which I'm sure you're going to talk to us about.
I see you've read my notes.
I have.
So establishing expectations up front is what I think the #1 way to avoid scope creep. So I know that Dave Jennings does an exceptionally good job at this with his business, Melbourne SEO, where he actually has a video recorded when he's onboarding a new customer, and he talks them through how the process works. Like, what a great way to communicate how the process works, by telling them how the process works up front, what's in, what's out, when they can request changes, how that works, what kind of turnaround time. The video goes for about 5 minutes, and it's on a page with some more information. Beautiful. The client knows what's in and what's out straight off the bat. I'm sure if they ask for something else, he would know how to get them in touch with either the right person, or to charge effectively, or what that looks like, and to be able to communicate that to them. So I think it's about letting clients know what the expectations are, but also making sure that you know what's in and what's out, and you think about that up front. So I think where a lot of freelancers, they just get caught out, is that they don't think about that, and then they make an emotional decision to say, yes, I will do that. Because I'm not ready, I wasn't prepared for this, so I'll just say yes and do it. They haven't properly thought it through yet.
There are 2 documents that I think you can use, and this is where I like to delineate. It's kind of like separating content and design.
Right.
You know, the wonderful cascading style sheets that make our content look pretty. Well, a proposal, in my mind, should determine kind of the overarching outcome that we're aiming for, the investment required, the timeline involved. Then what you can do is you can attach to a proposal something like a statement of work, which says, in the proposal, please refer to statement of work or Appendix A for a detailed breakdown of exactly what's included. And then the statement of work or the scope of work says, this is exactly what we're going to do, right? And this is all, these are all the deliverables. They're not line items and they're not costed out, but these are all the deliverables that make this proposal work, yeah? If it's not in the statement of work, we're going to charge extra.
That's right. Yeah, that's the catch-all. If it's not listed here, it's not happening.
Correct.
Yep. And that's an easy one.
And you can list everything there, right? In the statement, your opportunity in the statement of work is to say, here's all the stuff that needs to happen to make this proposal a reality. And that's where you can list off all the technical stuff that you're going to do, all the plugins you're going to use, all the staging environments you're going to do, all the code checks you're going to do, whatever it is you're doing. The fact that you're going to use Fontawesome 5 and install MonsterInsights and do all that kind of cool stuff, and even set up a Google AMP stories platform for them. All the cool stuff goes in the statement of work, right? And if it's not listed in the statement of work, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If you want it and it's not in there, you're paying extra for it.
Yep, easy. So within that statement of works, like just when it comes to like listing all of those different things, I like to just keep them to what's relevant to what the client wants. So something like video user manuals, I wouldn't put that in there because I would say later, as you were saying before, I would just like value add that. Even if I'm going to do it anyway, if it's not relevant to the proposal at that point to achieve their goals, it just doesn't go in because I like to be as brief as possible in the statement of works. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So something else that we talked about last week as well when it came to scope creep, and we've talked about this for many, many years. It's like when you're starting a project, your expectations of what's going to happen and the client's expectations of what's going to happen, even though you've had conversations and you've got a proposal, you'll never know what's inside their head and they'll never know exactly what's inside your head. So having different meeting points with the client is about your expectations go sideways and then you come back together again. Expectations go sideways, you come back together again. And one of the crucial stages with this is the prototyping stage, where you get into the browser and you actually build the features of the site as rapid as you can in order to get the client on board with you so that they can have a poke around and they can see things in the browser and go, oh, okay, this makes sense for how this works. You let them know this is not the design, but these are the features. This is how the pages will be laid out in terms of having a menu, and here's the team page in a grid. Does that make sense, client? They're like, ah, yeah, okay, all right, cool. Instead of seeing design and going, I don't like that color, or blah, 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 and then you build it and then they don't like the functionality all of a sudden because they weren't paying attention to that before. So this is why prototyping really, really helps.
It's like a sketch, but it's in the browser and it's clickable and it works. So think of it as like a clickable wireframe. In fact, on our YouTube channel, Simon, we published some videos recently to show you how to build rapid prototypes of a landing page, a pop-up box, and an email lead capture field using the wonderful Elementor plugin on WordPress. You can find all of that at wpelevation.com/YouTube. Look at that lower third. How efficient is Raymond, hey?
Pretty efficient.
Hey, he reads my
Pretty
mind.
efficient.
He reads my mind, I tell you. I mean, our script is so loose, there is no way Ray could have known that I was going to say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just a mind reader.
Is it you start speaking a little bit slower and Ray's like, right,
Yeah.
I'm making this
type
happen.
this up.
I'm going to turn them both into
He's
beeps.
just got a library of kind of lower thirds and assets that he just drags in. The man's a genius. Kath Hughes says she uses base deliverables.
Base deliverables, I like it.
Proposal. If
Very
it's not in the
nice.
base deliverable, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Jason Vance wants to know if Dave Jennings will share that video. Well, let's tag Dave Jennings in and ask him. Jason, why don't you just tag Dave Jennings in and ask him? And Brett Drinkwater says Ray is a bloody legend. Yeah, all right, enough of the Ray love, okay? Hey, enough of the Ray love. We know Ray's a legend,
right.
all right? Jesus.
I think I might have put David in the hot seat if Jason wants to see that video. I think that's that was a little sneak preview that I had that I snuck in at one point when I was spying on Dave. So he may not give that one up, but basically just rewind to what I said before and just copy what I said and make a video.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anything else about scope creep?
There's heaps more, but I'm pretty happy with that. I think that should get the job done. But if you do have any questions, please chuck them in there. Are you having a problem with the project right now where you're having scope creep problems? You know what? I am. Let's have a chat. I'm having a problem with scope creep right now. I've got a client on I would say my best client for the business on a good monthly retainer. What what I had on the scope of works at the beginning has changed, and we haven't revisited that. So the conversation went something along the lines of, okay, we'll take those things out, and this month we'll put those things in. Does that work? And that was about 8 months ago, and it's changed so many times. So now we're just doing stuff now, and it's I'm paying attention to how profitable it is, but it's just knowing what's in and what's out is difficult for us, and I'm not sure yet, but I think it's difficult for them too.
We have a meeting with our branding design agency at least once a month, and we talk about the sprint for the following month. So we basically address the statement of work. We've got a meeting coming up this week where we'll be talking about, it's Thursday I think, where we'll be talking about the March sprint, and they will say to us, these are all of the things that we've got a Trello board, and whenever we want stuff done, we just put it in the backlog column in the Trello board, and they will go through the Trello board and they'll say, right, this is all the stuff you want done. What do we put in the March sprint? You tell us what the priorities are.
Right.
And then we decide, okay, we want this, 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 and this, and they'll say, well, that's too much for the March sprint based on the plan that you guys are on. You either need to, pay us time and materials to get that other stuff done, which is in excess of your normal monthly retainer, or you need to sacrifice some stuff and make it happen in April.
Yep.
So just very transparent conversation about that at the end of each month to plan the following month's sprint.
Right. And it's up to them to be profitable and to push back on you and say, well, that's a bit too much.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you want to increase your capacity or should we put it on for next month?
Exactly.
Yep. Actually, I had taken a bit of a peek at that Trello board and I've made a bit of a template myself.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in that, I'd be happy to share a blank version of that, which I use to manage some of my ongoing clients.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, I have a suspicion that there's probably a sneaky little shiny widget that you can use to help manage your clients' expectations during the project and to help avoid scope creep. So why don't we take a look at the tool of the week?
Get ready for Tool of the Week.
Max is currently on his knees with the camera on a gimbal trying to distract my dog because she's scratching herself and making a bit of noise with her collar. Hey? That's what I love about Max. He's just willing to go the distance to keep the show going.
You'll see that in the behind the scenes.
Now the dog's head
Featuring
is in the
loosely.
bin, trying to pull some food out of the bin. That's fantastic. So what is the tool of the week, Simon Kelly?
So what I like to do to keep my clients on the same page, I like to send them a video each week with what we've been working on. So I do like to have the calls with clients to update them each week as well, and then send them a recap after the call. But sometimes they're not available or something, or they just don't want to talk, whatever. I still want to be able to communicate that to them to make sure they've received it, and they can just quickly view a video of what we've been working on. I really like to do this on like monthly clients as well, to say, here are some things on your website, here's what we recommend, here's a quick look at insights in analytics. Thanks so much, and here's what I recommend we do.
But making a video, Simon, gee, it sounds so expensive and time-consuming.
Oh, but it isn't, young Troy. So what I like to use is Loom. And you can go to useloom.com and you can really quickly and easily create a video and send it over to your clients. In just a couple of clicks, it'll give you the URL. It'll put your little face into a circle, because I think face-to-face contact, even through the internet, is really important with clients. I think it's very important to make sure that they can see you and that you're a real person and you're not just always in Bali on the beach or stuck in a dark basement somewhere, which is pretty close to my situation, to be honest. But it's good for them to see you, and it's good for you to communicate that. So use Loom, I highly recommend that. And just as a secondary one, I also really like our Screencast-O-Matic, and I've mentioned that a couple of times on the show before, so I thought I'd mention a different one this time. But I really like that one, but it doesn't quite have the nice little circle with your face in it. It's a bit of a square and yeah, not as nice. But either one of those is great, super cheap, and mostly free, and you can communicate quite easily to your clients.
Awesome. Hey, just want to check in here. Ray has pinned Brett Drinkwater's comment that says Ray is a bloody legend. Oh no, Ray didn't do that. Ray's denying that he's pinned that. Oh, Jin's pinned it. Jin's pinned it to the top. Yes, Jin, you're fired, Jin. It would have been funnier if Ray had done it, but Ray's in denial. I think Ray might be slipping Jin a 50 to pin those comments up the top. Colleen Gratza says Loom is awesome and I have no video experience. Have you used Loom, Colleen? Or
how can you
just
think
like
it's awesome? And
Kath says, God, I love Loom. Kath Hughes says, Jasmine says, that's the first thing I thought of too. Tool of the week meant something different when I worked at the radio station. Australia, Triple M for the Aussie kids. Hey, Australia. The Americans won't have a clue what we're talking about, but that's okay. Thanks. Cami says, thanks guys, I really enjoy your live training. use the word training loosely, Cammy. And Amber Cockwell says, yes, Trello template, please.
Yeah? All right, cool. Coming your way.
Awesome. Robert Simmons says, I like Cloud app instead of Loom, but both are awesome. Cool. All right.
Whatever, Rob. No, I do as well.
You
I
and
think
Rob want
Cloud
to get
app's
the
great.
gloves on and have a bit of a biffo about Cloud app versus Loom.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, this has been fun.
Always.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to talk about? Is that kind of the end of the run sheet? That's the end of the run sheet, really, isn't
Just
it?
an empty call to action there.
Call to action. What's the call to action? Oh, I know what the call to action is. We have got. Do we have a lower third for the webinar, Ray?
We'll just talk amongst ourselves.
I'll tell you what,
for 2
if I
seconds.
faff about here for a minute and try and be interesting, Ray might be able to put together a lower third for the webinar.
When's that coming up?
Well, there's 4 webinars actually. Dog going crazy behind me on the floor here, chasing her own tail. There's 4 webinars. There are 4 webinars. There are 4 webinars coming up. The first one is Friday, March the 1st, I believe, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Los Angeles time. Actually, Thursday the 1st of March. Friday's the 2nd. Thursday the 1st of March at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Los Angeles time. And then there's another 2 or 3 next week. And it's all part of WP Elevation being open for new students, which is very exciting. These 4 webinars will be happening. They are live. They are not pre-recorded webinars. They are live webinars. And in fact, the last one is next week in here in the big studio with the big cameras and the big lights. And it's an epic live stream. We're going to be live here on Facebook for about 4 hours. Isn't that ridiculous? I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
We've got some special guests coming in, I saw.
We do. So tomorrow, here's a thing that that is interesting, I think. We had a couple of our members recently in South Australia who have been accountability partners for each other during our program for the last 12 to 18 months. And they met up in real life for the first time. Karen, Leslie and Kylie Martin. There you go. What a memory. Karen Leslie from Mount Gambier and Kylie Martin from near Murray Bridge. They both sort of live in country South Australia. And they met up in real life recently and they took a photo and they put it in their Facebook group and they were so happy. I said, you know what, let's fly them to Melbourne to come into the show and talk to us about their experiences of meeting up in real life after knowing each other online for so long. So we're flying them to Melbourne this Thursday. We're going to shoot a little video here with them. We're going to record that and then we will play that during our next episode and during the webinar live streams as well. So stick around with us here on Facebook over the coming week. And there it is. There's the link. Look at that. get.wpelevation.com/webinar. You can go there and choose your own date and register for one of those webinars. And as a bonus, we're giving away the WP Elevation Blueprint infographic. Hey, not going to do Insta stories,
exciting.
but by word, I love a good infographic. We're giving away that infographic for anyone who registers for the webinar. So come and join in the fun. That's the call to action. Please, of course, subscribe to us on YouTube, like us, comment and share on Facebook. Send a link to your grandma, because I'm sure she'll like us. Grandmas usually like us, don't they?
Oh, 100%.
100%. And other than that, I look forward to seeing you, hopefully with a haircut next week.
No, I'm just going to keep it
You're
going.
going to keep it going,
yeah.
yeah. Fantastic.
I was going to say until
You're
someone
gonna
says something, but yeah, I guess
well,
that's happened.
Consider it said. If I let my hair grow, it doesn't grow down, it just grows out. Like
It just
Kramer.
disappears.
Like Kramer on Seinfeld. It just,
wow.
you know.
Yeah,
if I let
yeah,
my hair grow,
everyone's
no
no
one
good.
would see you, dude, because I just had this big fro just out here. Yeah.
Who wants to see that? Let us know.
Yes. Thanks for being a part of it. We look forward to seeing you over the coming couple of weeks here on Facebook with our live webinars. And of course, we'll see you next Tuesday on Silence is Golden. Until then, I'm Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly, and silence is golden.
It's supposed to be
Wait.
knowledge is
Can we go back?
silence is, yeah?
All right.
Okay, so you want to do it again?
No, you start your bit.
Okay, well, we'll see you again next week on Silence is Golden. Until then, I'm Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly. Knowledge is power.
And silence is golden.